So let's get right into it. First, we're starting with the VZR Model 1 Mark II audiophile gaming headphones, and it was one of the few gaming headphones at CanJam. This gaming headset has some 3D audio that is perfect for first-person shooters as well as battle royale games like Call of Duty and Warzone. While these are great for gaming, I was really surprised that they are also great for listening to music. They have this three-dimensional sound that was really interesting to listen to, and I didn't hear any other headphone at CanJam that sounded quite like this. I would really like to get a review unit of this audiophile gaming headset into the channel because I want to try it out on my gaming PC so I could try it with some of my favorite games, and I also want to listen to more music on it. And it's really hard to find a gaming headset that is also good for listening to music, and at only $359, it might be in a lot of people's wheelhouse. And then I went to the Amps and Sound booth where I was absolutely amazed by their headphone amplifiers. This tube amplifier just sounded amazing and had several XLR connections in the front that would change up the sound slightly depending on which one you plugged into. I personally thought that the 100 ohm connection sounded best with my 150 ohm Tungsten V2 headphones, as it more closely matched the impedance of those headphones. This amp really opened up what is possible with the Tungsten V2s, and they really scale up quite nicely, and you can hear all these details in the music, as well as the layering of the instruments was amazing. I must admit there were a couple things that threw me off about this particular headphone amp, and that was that I was hearing some slight tube noise, and I didn't like that the volume control would click into predefined steps, as I found myself wanting to listen at a volume right in between two steps. I thought that this Amps and Sound tube amp sounded great, but then I heard its big brother, and this was actually one of my top 5 headphone amps that I listened to at CanJam. The way it drove my tungstens was incredible. The tungstens are power hungry, and the power that this amp provided just made my tungstens shine. It was some of the best sound I listened to at CanJam using my tungstens. And best of all, I didn't hear any tube noise at all with this bigger amp like I did with its little brother. And here's a little trivia for you audiophiles. Can you identify these headphones? I took some video of them but forgot to write down the name of these headphones. If you know it, drop a comment on this video and let me know. And now we have the Moondrop Paras. I wasn't sure if this is the version 2 or the version 1. They have a very nice industrial design to them and cost around $500. I'm not sure if they needed a different DAC amp pairing, but these just sounded okay to me. They're really nothing special compared to some of the other headphones I heard at the showroom floor. I was actually more interested in the X Dual stack behind it. It looks like some kind of DAC, amp, and digital player all neatly stacked together. And the most interesting thing was the screen on the X Dual DP10 on top and how it folded out sideways, giving you a nice view of your music being played. The X Dual DP10 seems like a cool device, but just know that it doesn't have a DAC inside, so you have to use an external DAC with it, but it does support Bluetooth inputs and outputs. The other cool thing that I saw at the XDual booth was the XDual DM01, which is a desktop DAC and headphone amp. It looks like a robot. I thought that this was a really cool, unique design and would look great on anyone's desktop setup. And now we have another of my top 5 headphone amps that I heard at CanJam, and that is the Woo Audio W833 2nd Edition Elite Edition. This tube headphone amp cost a whopping $17,000 but sounds absolutely amazing. One special feature of this amp is that it has a 4-pin connector all the way on the left to connect true ribbon headphones such as the Raw Imanes, eliminating the need to have a current drive interface plugged in between the headphones and the amp. This amp just had so much power. I mean, look at it and all those tubes on top. And let me just tell you that I was literally in audiophile heaven with this tube amp powering the Raw Imanes, which sounded absolutely incredible on this amp. And it's one of my current top favorite headphones. I also got to try out this amp with another one of my favorite headphones, the Abyss AB1266, and everything from the fine detail in the treble to the bass lamp sounded amazing on this amp. Last but not least, being able to listen to my own Tungsten V2s, these headphones really scaled up with this amplifier. I mean, they sounded amazing. Everything from the imaging, richness in the sound, and the instrument layering. I was just in awe. Again, I was in audiophile heaven at the Woo Audio Room at CanJam. Next up, we have some collaboration audio gear from someone who you all probably know, Zeos from Z Reviews on YouTube. So the first is a collab between Z Reviews and Orchard Audio with the Valencia headphone amp that I got to try out at the Abyss Room. This is a powerful headphone amp that keeps it simple and is solely a power amp. It has no volume control on it whatsoever. So you will need to pair it with a DAC that has volume control. Zeals was actually in the room and let me try his Eris collab headphone that he did with harmonic dying, as well as his soon-to-be released Serene collaboration headphone with Kiwi ears. I got to try out both these headphones on the Valencia amp. The Eris had an interesting V-shaped sound, with it doing a great job capturing the details in the high treble range, as well as having that nice punchy bass that Zeals loves. But for me, the Serene, with its planar magnetic closed back design, was more of my style with my listening preference. The Serene had a smoother treble and a well-controlled and tight bass that I found enjoyable. The headphone itself was also very comfortable, especially with the nice earpads that these headphones come with. At an expected price of under $200, this is definitely a headphone that I will keep my eye out for. Now, if you guys are enjoying this content, please consider hitting that like button. This tells me that you guys want to see more content like this on this channel. And if you like what you're seeing, please consider subscribing to the channel. And now at the Abyss room, we have a new addition to the Abyss lineup for this year is the Joel headphones, coming in at just under $2K. These were a solid pair of headphones which sounded great no matter what music I threw at it. While no one particular thing stood out about these headphones, they were fun to listen to, and these can definitely compete with other headphones in this price range. I also got to try out the new hybrid earpads and the ultra suede earpads for the AB1266 headphones from Abyss. My preference was the hybrid earpads, which I thought were comfortable, but I must admit that the ultra suede were more comfortable. The biggest change is in the sound. The ultra suede pads smooth out the treble up top, so if that's something you're looking for, these earpads might interest you. But the AB1266 is so resolving that I prefer the hybrid earpads, as I like to hear all those fine details in the treble. I also got to try out the AB1266 on the Amps and Sound headphone amp, which is an absolutely great pairing. So on Sunday, which was my second day at CanJam, I got there really early and I ended up lining up to go into the Bloom audio room. They were giving away a swag bag to the first 25 people there, which I secured. The swag bag included a $25 Bloom audio gift card, a DD Hi-Fi C100 IEM and cables travel case, as well as Alitech Baroque Stage IEM ear tips, and a short USB-C to USB-C OTG cable. So special thanks to Bloom Audio for giving away these swag bags, as well as other raffles for some audio gear, which included Hi-Fi Man headphones, as well as some portable DAC amps. So I was actually in search of the topping A70 Pro headphone amp at the show, since I have heard that this has plenty of power to handle the tungsten headphones. However, when I found it and I tried it out, I did not like how the Fosse Audio ZD3 DAC and the topping A70 Pro sounded with my tungsten V2s. It was just a very flat sound that was not enjoyable to listen to, especially after hearing lots of other great DAC amp combo options on the showroom floor. But then I tried the CanJam SoCal 170HA tube amplifier, and boy oh boy did it make my tungsten V2 sing. My tungsten headphones sounded amazing on this amp, and this amp made it to my top 5 amps at CanJam. I literally did not want to leave my seat at the Bloom audio room, and I just wanted to keep listening to this beautiful KN tube amp. So while walking through the showroom floor, I noticed many people at CanJam rocking the Erebus Acoustics Sierra headphones around their neck. So I had to go find their booth to give them a listen for myself. There I got to try out the new Sierra Open Aluminum Edition, which looked absolutely amazing. After giving these a try for their sound, I found that these are solid sounding headphones and can compete with other headphones in this price range, as well as above its price range of $1,000 to $1,600 depending on the model you get. I also got to try out the Odyssey Carbon 2 electrostatic headphones, which I had previewed last year, and the sound coming out of these electrostatic headphones is nothing short of amazing. Now, if you're looking to upgrade your earpads, look no further than Deconi Audio, where they have a wide selection of earpads at different price levels for many headphones. I actually ended up buying a pair of their Elite Hybrid replacement earpads for my Odyssey LCD2 Classic headphones at a decent price. Now, if you ever get to go to a CanJam, you have to check out the mass-kobo headphone amplifiers. The Model 465, with its retro look and its old school buttons with green LEDs, looked and sounded amazing, and it made my top 5 headphone amps at CanJam. At $16,000, it is expensive, but this was one of my favorite headphone amps at the show. The Model 485 was also a great performing headphone amp that made my tungsten V2 sound amazing. The Model 433 didn't quite have the power to push the tungsten V2s to the same level as the 485 and 465, but it may work well with other less harder to drive headphones. I also briefly visited the Grado room, where I tried a few of their headphones. I got to try the Grado headphones with both solid state and tube amplifiers. My biggest takeaway from listening to the Grado headphones is that I greatly preferred their on-ear headphones instead of their over-ear headphones. Grados definitely have a unique sound that you won't find in other headphones. Next up, we have the Sivga and Sendy Audio Egret, which has a stunning, beautiful design and look. I thought that the sound of the Egret was just okay, but if you're really looking to buy one of the Sivga headphones, look no further than the Sivga Luan. These headphones at just $300 sound amazing. Everything from the bass to the treble sounds good on these, and with their unique flared ear pads, these are very comfortable headphones to wear. I really think that you won't regret it if you pick up these headphones. Next up at the Upscale Audio booth, I got to try out the Felix Audio Envy headphone amp with its wooden cabinet and tubes. Looks and sounds amazing. It gets an honorable mention as one of the top headphone amps I heard at CanJam, even though it did not make my top 5. Beating out the Felix audio amp by a slight margin was the Aris Hedonia 300B headphone amp for the final spot in my top 5. Whether I was listening to the Hi-Fi Man Susvara or my very own Tungsten V2s, the level of detail and instrument layering in the music was incredible. Another honorable mention, and one of the few solid-state headphone amplifiers that could really properly drive my Tungsten V2s and make them sound great, all at an affordable price when compared to the other amps you've seen in this video, is the Shit Audio Milner headphone amp. This amp had more than enough headroom in terms of volume output for the Tungsten V2s and made my Tungsten sound great. And at the starting price of only $1,200, it's an amazing bang for your buck. Well, that wraps up my coverage of CanJam SoCal 2025, and I hope to see you guys again in my next video.